Welcome to the Kate Molland channel. My podcast is now in progress. Let's tune in. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the podcast once again.
Hello, hello.
I must say, I've really enjoyed chatting with you throughout the year. But now that we're going into a brand new year, do you have any suggestions that could help people get the year off to a good start?
Okay, so the question you're asking me is, do I have any suggestions that could help people get their year off to a good start? Is that your question?
That is my question.
Okay, that's like asking the Library of Congress how many copyrights. Do you guys do copyrights? My first recommendation for the new year for all people is to try a dry January. Are you familiar with that expression, dry January?
I am familiar with dry January.
Talk to me.
Well, you abstain from alcohol for all of January.
Exactly. It's you're right. It's a public awareness campaign that encourages people to abstain from alcohol for 30 days. This campaign started in the UK, and usually a lot of these types of things that started in the UK, we kind of know it comes from India. This concept, where people get together and they follow a certain guru, and they come up with these things that they feel are important for the human race to abstain from that could improve their health, their psyche, their mind, body, soul, things like that. So, so it started in the UK. I understand there's one in the Netherlands, I believe, in Finland, but they call it kind of a dry February. The idea is to abstain from alcohol for 30 days, like you said. And this has gained momentum among millennials in the U.S. in the last few years. So I say, why not give it a try? Use the start of the year to set aside 30 days to steer clear of all alcoholic beverages.
Okay, but what if someone has an alcohol problem? I see with dry January, it really seems to apply to social drinkers, maybe someone who feels that they overindulged during the holiday celebrations.
Okay, that's a very good question, Kate. So I'm going to say this. If somebody's got a drinking problem, I would hope that they would be aware of that and check in with a physician before you just cold turkey, abstain from alcohol for 30 days. So you're right. This would apply more so to social drinkers. And how would you define a social drinker? Just your honest opinion on that.
For me, social drinking would be, events, get-togethers, things like that, where maybe you're indulging in like maybe 1 to 3 cocktails, servings, I'll say, during the event.
Okay. Can you name any specific events where people would go or social settings where drinking alcohol would be considered appropriate?
Oh, birthdays, New Year's Eve is a big one. A lot of people like to indulge in liquor on that night. Even, people drink during sporting events. That's a social event for some people. There's all sorts of things.
Okay, what about locations, like physical places? Where do people go to social drink? Give me the buildings. What type of buildings do they go into for social drinking?
Bars,
yes.
Restaurants, stadiums, arenas, music venues. People, like you go to somebody's house
yes.
if they're having a get-together.
Mm-hmm. And can you name some cities where you can actually go out in the street and it's okay to drink?
I can. This is amazing. I've been to New Orleans.
Okay.
There's also there's a little town called Roswell, Georgia, where the main drag does not have open container laws.
All right. And have you ever heard of a place called Las Vegas?
Oh, I've visited. Yes, I'm aware of Las Vegas and people with their yards of slushy booze being consumed as they wander down the street.
There you go. And also, I believe Atlantic City allows that also.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are places where you can go to drink socially. And so if you have a habit of going to those places and you're saying to yourself now, okay, I'm going to abstain from drinking now for 30 days. Well, what do I do in those places? Well, there's all kinds of things you can drink beside alcoholic beverages. But before we get into that, I have a question for you, Kate. We talked about a social drinker. So a social drinker would be drinking with other people socially. Would you not agree?
I would agree.
Okay, now, so what do you call somebody who drinks alone?
That's a great question. What do you call somebody who drinks alone?
Okay, I tell you what, you're going to give me the answer. All right. If you were to open up your laptop and play a card game all by yourself, what do you call that card game?
Solitaire.
Okay, so what do you call the drinker?
Solitary
There
drinking.
you go. Bingo. Give this girl the prize.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I mean, I could cook, like, if I cook a really lovely meal, I may want to have a glass of wine with it. Like, there's no harm in that.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people that do that. I mean, they might be cozying up to a good book. They might be wanting to watch a Netflix film or just wanting some what they call me time, and they know the wine that they want. They want to just sit down, pop a cork, and away they go. So these are what you call solitary drinkers. So sometimes they could be a solitary drinker slash social drinker. So this
Okay.
would be the market of the 30-day dry January. So let me ask you this. There are what they call good reasons for participating in the dry January campaign. Can you think of just one good reason why that might be a good idea? Just to say, you know what, for 30 days, let me just not drink any alcohol. Do you see any advantages to that at all?
I can. Somebody who wants to maybe get their jumpstart their health a little bit. Like, we've just overindulged during the holidays for most people. You know, a lot of sugar, a lot of excess. So maybe they just want to clean slate. Let me hunker down. Let me keep this promise to myself of not doing alcohol for 30 days.
Good. And I think it's a great test because maybe you don't know if you can even hold out for 30 days. I mean, think about it. If a person says, okay, I'm a social drinker, I'm a solitary drinker, but I'm going to hold out for 30 days and find out that I can't, you see, now there could be a problem.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting?
That's an interesting barometer.
Yeah, there could probably be a problem here. Now, what do you mean you can't, what do you mean you cannot abstain from drinking alcohol for 30 days? There's got to be a problem here. I mean, with any so-called habit, like if I were to say to you, can you stop drinking tea for 30 days? A lot of people would say, yeah, no problem. Can you stop drinking coffee for 30 days? Oh, maybe that might be a problem. Can you stop drinking Coca-Cola for 30 days? Oh, probably no problem. All right. But why would coffee be a problem to some? I'm not saying that it is, but I'm saying that it could be. Because I do hear people say, look, I got to get my coffee this morning. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I need my fix.
I appreciate the ritual of coffee. Having that
See, there you go.
warm, like, almond latte in the morning. And I can easily go without alcohol for 30 days. But coffee for me, and I've tried to replace it with tea before, and it just isn't that same feeling. But
Okay,
then,
so in your case, we're going to do a dry coffee January.
oh gosh,
No,
I,
but
oh,
listen, enjoy your coffee. Enjoy your coffee. So the idea of the dry January, or even say no coffee January, whatever the case may be, the idea behind that could be for health reasons. It could be for self-examination reasons. But me, as a coach and a counselor, my whole thing would be to say, how about a little soul searching? How
Okay.
about just turning inward and find out, what you are made up of, what's going on inside of you? Why not take a moment and call yourself out on alcohol? That could be a great start. Call yourself out on something that might be a weakness for you. I mean, how else can you really begin to start the journey of self-awareness unless you start calling yourself out on something? Because isn't that the definition of self-control? Meaning, if nothing's pressuring you and you're calm, that's not self-control. See what I'm saying? Self-control would be when somebody's pressuring you and you want to knock their block off. And you're calm and you're collective. So now you're understanding, hey, wait a minute, I've got the power here to restrain. I've got the power to hold back. I've got the power to recognize an emotion, name that emotion, and control that emotion. That gives me power. And that can translate in so many other areas of life. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I do. And it's really important, actually, because I know I have people in my ecosystem. I feel that they bully other people to drink. And
Whoa.
it's kind of, in retrospect, it's kind of scary because, they want to drink. So they want other people to be drinking with them. And those are the people that end up making me feel very uncomfortable.
Interesting. So again, I feel that it's a great start, a new year, to call yourself out on alcohol. Now, the reason why I'm kind of highlighting alcohol here is not just because of the dry January movement, But from a health perspective, it's no secret that alcohol is connected to the killing of over 3 million people a year. And 1 in every 20 deaths around the world is a result of alcohol-related diseases, injury, accident, murder, or suicide. So when I say health perspective, you can see where I'm coming from.
I can, and it is quite concerning that so many deaths are attributed or related to alcohol because alcohol is an option.
Good point. Meaning, like, there's no, well, it's an option as long as you're not around those people you talked about earlier that are trying to force the stuff down your
Yeah.
throat.
I mean,
Where you're trying to fit in and go, okay, all right, I'll just take one shot.
but
Okay.
accident and disease, like we can at least narrow it down to those two for certain.
Okay, good. Now, I also think when we talk about those heavy duty things, which we just talked about, diseases, injury, accident, murder, or suicide, we're well aware of those things. But I think many of us may not be aware of what alcohol does to the body. In other words, it's well known that alcohol increases high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, liver disease, digestive problems, cancer of the breast, mouth, throat, esophagus, voice box, liver, colon, and rectum, weakening of the immune system, increasing the chances of getting sick, learning and memory problems, including dementia and poor life performance. And again, what I'm saying here, this is no secret. You can Google this stuff on your cell phone. There's all kinds of major health websites that you can visit for verification of what I just said. Can you think of any off the top of your head, Kate?
Oh, absolutely, Jay. The CDC would be very reputable. Mayo Clinic. Those are like two that I think of just right away.
And then there's also the American Cancer Society. There is WHO, which is the World Health Organization. All of these websites, there's empirical evidence where alcohol is definitely related to all of these sicknesses, diseases, and death, and the destruction of families and so forth, as we all well know. And I don't think there's anybody out there that cannot recall an incident, whether it was a fight, a domestic fight, or a fight in a bar, or a fight between friends, or war between couples, where alcohol was not tied in with it, where alcohol was not a culprit. So again, with all of these facts and figures and the realities that we've experienced, why not say, hey, well, wait a minute, maybe let me just see what life would be like for 30 days.
I feel that anybody who is super concerned about, like, if they can't do it, there might be something bigger at play.
And there you go.
Very nice.